Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to call the third meeting of the Governance Working Group to order and begin by acknowledging that the City of London is situated on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, Lenape-Pewak, and Attawandaron peoples, and we honor and respect the history, languages, and culture of the diverse Indigenous people who call this territory home. The City of London is currently home to many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples, and as representatives of the people of the City of London, we are grateful to have the opportunity to work and live in this territory. I will note that we have regrets today from Councillor Frank and Councillor Hopkins, who will not be joining us. All other members of the working group are with us either virtually, that being Councillor Stevenson, Councillor Ferreira, and Councillor Trussow, and all other members of the working group are with us here in committee room number 5. The City of London is committed to making every effort to provide alternate formats and communication supports for meetings upon request. And to make a request specific to this meeting, please contact Jay Gomez, that's JGOMEZ at london.ca, or call 519-661 extension 661-2489 extension 2425. And I'm going to look for any disclosures of pecuniary interest to start us off. Seeing none, then we will move along on the consent agenda. We just have the second report of the Governance Working Group, and that was the report that's already gone forward and it's in your package. So I just look for a motion to approve that previous report, moved by Councillor Hillier and seconded by Councillor Ferreira. Looking for any discussion? Seeing none, then we'll call the vote. All those in favor? And any opposed? And that carries. So moving on, we have one item for discussion today. That is the Code of Conduct for members of council and local boards. We do have an added, we have submissions from Councillor Stevenson as well. I do want to let colleagues know that our representative for our Integrity Commissioner, John Mascarin, is with us as well. Thank you, Mr. Mascarin, for turning on your camera. We can all see you there. This was a referral from SPPC with a draft recommended Code of Conduct update. The approach that we're going to take here is, because we've asked Mr. Mascarin to join us, I'm going to look for some general discussion and ask councillors to particularly focus in on questions they may have for our Integrity Commissioner, so that we don't necessarily have to keep him the whole afternoon. We can hopefully help him find some found time after we've had a chance to ask him any questions we might have about the draft code update that was brought forward to us at SPPC. So I'm going to open the meeting that way and look around for any speakers. Councillor Ferreira, go ahead. Start us off, please.
Thanks, Chair. I guess the report was pretty comprehensive. Is there any way we could maybe get staff to give us a brief overview of it? Just maybe to get the conversation to go off, I guess, specifically for the changes that we see and the differences between the new that's proposed in the report and the current.
Well, I will let colleagues know Ms. Datersbeer is away at a work function, so she's not with us. Ms. Corman is online. I don't know if she's prepared or able to speak to highlight changes or whether that would be better directed to Mr. Mascarin, but let's first go to our Deputy Clerk, Ms. Corman, to see if she has anything she can share with us. And then I'll look for any additional comments Mr. Mascarin wants to share on that. Ms. Corman.
Hi, thank you. Through the chair, there is an overview of proposed changes in section 9.1 of the report. There's some structural changes, some definition changes, as well as specific outlined of respectful conduct and staff relations, as well as addressing some gifts, benefits, and hospitality raising the current annual threshold to be more in line with other municipalities and to update this into more current terms, not from when the code was previously introduced. There's also some things regarding confidential information, social media and communications, conflicts of interest, as well as the IC complaint protocol. It's updated that to include remedial measures or corrective actions. And as well as standardized forms. We now have a standardized complaint form on our website. Or it would propose to have a standardized form on our website.
Thank you, Ms. Corman. And Mr. Maskern, would you like to add anything for colleagues' focus on that?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thank you also for the invitation to come today. I had some discussions with staff about the current code of conduct that you have, which, just let me say, there's nothing that, in my view, was atrociously wrong, bad, that it had to be changed today. However, when we looked at it, we had no hand in developing the code because we've recently just come on for you. And staff candidly asked, do you see any issues? And we said, yeah, we think it could use some improvement. It could be, as Ms. Corman has indicated, standardized a little bit more. There could be some things enhanced for better understanding, clarity for the public, for members of council, and for council as a whole. So I was asked to go and look at it. You'll see that staff had prepared a scan of some other comparable municipalities where they had looked at some things, and they had suggested to me that there were certain areas that I should look at. But they also were very kind and said, you know, if there's something else that you think is appropriate, then please let us know. Now, I'll be candid. I had heard about some things, and I know, and I see Councillor Stevenson is here, and she's submitted a number of submissions, filed a number of submissions. I knew that one of the concerns was how investigations are conducted. Are they conducted in accordance with matters of procedural fairness, natural justice? So I actually focused a lot of energy on looking at that. And I was specific with staff. I said, you could have a better protocol, a complaint protocol, which the Ontario Divisional Court has called part of the statutory scheme. So in my humble view, one of the real enhancements that I think and I hope you agree that I've brought to it is an enhanced complaint protocol, which sets out a investigation procedure. And I hope you'll agree that it seems to address at least some issues that some members may have been having with respect to matters like a fair process, an opportunity to respond, proper timelines in which to do so. One of the other things that I noticed and that I said to staff is your current code and process doesn't have anything to help a member of the public. And so you're often getting a complaint that's quite deficient and not very good, doesn't sometimes identify what even the matter is. Now, this hasn't happened in your municipality, but it has in a number of other municipalities where you don't have a complaint form. So it doesn't identify, give us these minimal requirements. The name of the counselor. Do you know that I've received complaints that don't even have the name of the counselor? It's almost like the complainant expects me to know that. So the name of the counselor, or the name of the member if they're a member of a board. What is the board? What are you complaining about, and what are the code provisions or some other matter? So we've tried to standardize that and put it into a form. This is not to make it harder. And I want to be clear, it's not to make it harder for the public to file. It's just so they can understand that there are minimal requirements on a complainant. They, in my view, at a minimum, have to give us some reasonable and probable grounds to proceed with a complaint, for instance. And we get a lot of complaints just on an email that don't really tell us anything. Then it gets delayed because we have to go and ask for that information. And then we're asked, why did it take so long? So I really do hope that the complaint protocol, which covers both the code of conduct complaints as well as the municipal conflict of interest application, because we tried to mirror the two, even though there are some differences. For instance, in the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act, you have to file a statutory declaration. So, to make it easier for the public, we've actually provided a form that they can work from. Again, this is not to encourage people to come forward. It's if someone would like to come forward, then this is the way it should be done. So those, Mr. Chair, if I can say, are the big items. The one other thing that I did have some discussions with staff was, and if any of you read the Collingwood Judicial Inquiry, you will see that one of the big things in there that Justice Morocco covered off was the whole question of conflicts of interest. And it's been made very clear over the course of the Mississauga Judicial Inquiry, the Collingwood Judicial Inquiry, and the case law over the last 10, 15 years, that conflicts of interest don't stop at pecuniary interest. There's also, of course, private, personal, non-pecuniary conflicts of interest. So we have added that in as a component. We've been very careful, and in my respectful view, I think Justice Morocco reached for maybe a little much, my own view. And there are issues about disqualifying interest, qualifying interest. I think that's very confusing for council members and for the public and for council to understand. We've tried to import a non-pecuniary conflict matter interest into the code, but not make it unduly complicated. We have also, and again, with respect to Justice Morocco, who said the family membership in the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act for deemed pecuniary interest that only reaches out to a spouse, a parent, and a child has been criticized as being too narrow. My humble view and respectful view is that Justice Morocco put in an incredibly broad array of family members, which I've cut back and I've made it similar to the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. Now, as you all know, and it's covered in the report, and I really do want to thank both the deputy city clerk and both deputy city clerks, because they did make a mention of Bill 5, which is at the legislature. It's past second reading. It's going towards third reading. And yes, there may be next year, and I say maybe, the province has said that it would come forward with a standardized code, standardized investigative process. Who knows? So if you were to ask, is this the right time to do it? I'm certainly going to say to you, it's not a bad time. You can improve upon what you have. And I think it could put in appropriate safeguards for council on the procedural fairness front. And I would support this code of conduct that's coming before you today. So I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I probably went on a little bit longer. I wanted to give you a little bit of context, but thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Mascaren, and if you'd like, I can start the 5-minute timer on you the next time you speak, but at working group, we're a little more flexible than we are at standing committees. So I think it was good to have all members hear that explanation from you. Councillor Ferreira, you still have the floor, so I'm going to go back to you to see if you've got any follow-up.
I do. Thank you. Thank you for that very robust answer to the Integrity Commissioner, Mr. Mascaren, as well. I guess I'm going to start. My point would be, I guess, on the last point that was made on which is the right time, which is not the right time to bring in an updated code of conduct. So I do agree that it's not a bad time to do it, and we are still waiting on the standardization of things. But I guess the question would be on resourcing. I guess going to staff, as we see this report and as we see in the appendices, that would be the code if we were to recommend or if we were to approve these recommendations here, there would be, if we were to approve it as it is, there wouldn't be any extra resourcing or work put into that. Like we could take this code as it is and implement and approve at council if it made it there.
Ms. Corman?
Yes, through the chair, there'd be no additional work, just the standard posting on our website and updating of forms, but that's we do that daily, so no additional work.
Councillor Ferreira?
All right, thank you for that. I guess I'll move the staff recommendation as it is right now.
Well, you can do that, Counselor, if you want, although because we're a working group, I've just been doing my approach was just to take a Q&A. So I could come back to you if you want to put it on the floor now, that's certainly up to you, or we can let other councillors have a chance at some questions first, and then I can come back to you if you want to move it. Just because we allow a little more flexibility here at working group, I'm just going to come back and check in with you whether you want to move it now, or do you want to see if colleagues have any other questions before you do that?
Okay, I do want to move it now, but questions for colleagues, we could still ask those questions if this was on the floor. So yeah, I'll move it.
Okay, well then we'll look to see if we have a seconder for that. Councillor Trussell. That's moved and seconded. So there is a motion on the floor to receive this. So Councillor Ferreira, I just want to be clear what you're moving is that you are moving the governance working group forward the draft code of conduct back to SPPC for approval.
I believe that would be the process. I've moved in the report as it is. So that would be section A, section B, and section C. And I do believe that should be going to SPPC for approval. Not here in the recommendations, but I would move the recommendations I see here.
Yes, because this would introduce A and B introduce the bylaws, and then C is the direction to civic administration. So just wanted to make sure that that I was capturing your intent properly. Okay, so that's on the floor. And we can look now for some further debate and questions. Okay, I don't see anyone, so I'm actually going to turn the chair over to Councillor Rahman. Since my regular vice chair isn't here, my SPPC vice chair gets to do the extra duty today. So Councillor Rahman, if you can take the chair, I'd like to share a few comments.
Thank you. I have the chair. Go ahead.
Thank you. So through you, I do appreciate both the answers that we heard from Ms. Corman and Mr. Mascarin. I will say I'm not prepared to support this today, and I've got a couple of reasons that I'm not prepared to support it today. The standardization of the forms makes a lot of sense to me. You know, I do find it rather ridiculous, although I find it very believable, Mr. Mascarin, that you've received complaints that don't even include the councillor's name. So I certainly think that sort of standardization is a really good tool moving forward. I'm not so comfortable with, although I appreciate that this version is tighter than what we've seen from a justice. I'm not so comfortable with the expansion of the definitions of pecuniary interest now, only to potentially see it pulled back from changed again in a couple of months by the province. And I will say that from my discussions with the Minister of Municipal Affairs, it's fully their intention to have a province-wide update to the code in place prior to the municipal election cycle starting in May. So I'm mindful of the fact that the minister's made multiple comments and conversations to people that they recognize that there is a time frame on this to get the Ontario piece in. The other piece where I'm a little uncomfortable with comes into the email and general public communications. I'm really not comfortable starting to get into having people being able to file complaints about because they didn't like an answer they received in an email. Whether those complaints end up being founded and investigated or not, to me, that's not part of the role here. I think it expands the realm. And frankly, my position is it's not my job to send an email that makes a person happy. It's my job to send them an email that gives them the truthful answer. I just had an example of this in my ward last week where a person was extremely unhappy that they can't get a traffic signal at the end of a 20 home street. That to me, the fact that the resident didn't like the answer, that shouldn't be grounds for a complaint, nor should it be something that, with all due respect, because Mr. Mascarin might not have to spend a lot of time on it, but it would still be time that we would be paying him to review and investigate that. So I'm not comfortable getting into the email level of communications. And even when it comes to the social media piece, I think there's pieces that make a lot of sense, like being clear about what's a decided matter of council and what the decision is. I think that that's important. But I also think that when we get into discussions about what is, respectful communication via social media, and I think we've all experienced this, that's a very subjective thing. And I know there's some municipalities that handle it in different ways. I saw the overview here. Some deal with it as bulletins. Some don't include social media at all. Brampton, for example, doesn't have any special social media provisions. Windsor's provisions are more around election periods. So Ottawa and Toronto use interpretation bulletins. But it's actually not an area that's right now supported as one of the four key areas as laid out as best practices by the Ontario Ombudsman. And with that in mind, I don't want to spend time on social media policies that may not be included in the provincial code when that comes forward. It seems like we would be changing the goalpost every few months if we do this now, and then we have a provincial change that comes in March or April. So that's why I can't
30
get there
seconds.
today. There's some sections of this I really support. There's some sections of it I'm not so supportive of. I'm going to wait to hear the rest of the debate, but I don't think we should be pursuing this until we've heard from the province.
Thank you. So just to clarify, are you just speaking not in support, or are you asking for a referral?
I'm just speaking not in support right now. I'll reserve the right to a referral for later, depending on where the conversation goes.
Okay, thank you. Returning the chair to you with no one on the speakers list.
Okay, looking for others. Councillor Pribble.
Thank you. And through the chair, I actually have a question for our city clerk clarification and also the mover and the seconder, because the only thing is ABC I see is the SPPC meeting from August 14th. Could you please clarify if these are the ones that you have put forward? Because these are the dates that have already passed. Can you please provide a clarification?
Go ahead.
Yes, through the chair. Ahead of the initial council report that went to SPPC on August 14th, we have the referral that referred everything to GWG. So we just attached the standard report. We just attached the report that was referred, and we could still adopt those. We would just forward this to SPPC for consideration at the next SPPC meeting with this report, and then the council after that. We would change the dates.
Councillor Pribble.
Thank you. So just one more clarification through the chair to the clerk. So the ABC that's in front of us and the mover and seconder, all that would be adjusted are the dates, but everything else would stay the same because there are certain things that we are directing the civic administration, which is already passed. So would it really be just only the dates that would be changed and everything else is still valid?
Ms. Corman?
Through the chair, it would also mean just updating the code, the general policy for advisory committees to reflect the changes that we've shared in here, particularly around conflicts of interest. We would move it into that policy as well.
Counselor Pribble?
Okay, thank you. And the mover and seconder, they move this forward to the SPPC with certain direction to the clerk and certain work to be done, but not in terms of the implementing what's kind of in front of us. And I just want to clarity that, let's say, if there's not, I'm not willing to accept this either, but let's say if the majority would be moving this forward, I don't really see anything in terms of us approving it, except moving it to the SPPC. Is my understanding correct?
I'm actually going to respond to that, and then the clerk can add if there's any change, but this is speaks to the proposed bylaw being introduced at the municipal council. B, proposes the staff report be introduced at a future municipal council. So yes, you would be moving to bring back to SPPC the implementation of the new code of conduct, the way that these motions have been put forward right now. Ms. Corman, other than the changes of dates, and rather than municipal council, because GWG reports to SPPC first, those are the only two changes, but it is in fact an implementation, correct?
Yeah, through the chair, yes, it would be implementation, but I'll also add that B is actually an additional policy on the council staff relations policy. So code of conduct for council members, local boards, council staff relations policy, and then direction to review the advisory committee general policy.
Counselor Pribble?
Thank you. No more questions.
Looking for other speakers, I've got Counselor Trossow next.
Thank you very much, and through the chair. I think this is going to be an incremental process. I think we're going to be improving this as we go along. I don't think that if we take the position that we have to wait for the perfect thing or the province to give us directions. I think it's our responsibility. This is still within municipal jurisdiction. And unless or until the province ousts that, which they have not done through legislation, I think we should proceed with bringing our materials up to date as much as possible and as useful as possible. And while it's not perfect, and while there will certainly be further iterations, the reason I'm supporting what's on the floor right now is I at least want to get these improvements to SPPC and council in advance of the new year, so people can understand better what's going on. You know, we're in a very difficult position now with the province. A week hardly passes without the province bringing out something new in terms of dealing with the interrelationship between municipal and provincial jurisdiction. So the fact that a minister says, yeah, we're working on this and we hope to be bringing something forward, it for me, that's interesting, but it doesn't rise to the level of me wanting to step back from my responsibilities as a counselor to create the best possible code that we can do. And that's why, not perfect, going to be changing again, but I'm happy to move forward with this, and that's why I seconded the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Trossow. Looking for other speakers. Counselor Ferreira.
Thanks, Chair. So I am obviously going to fully support this. Like, I hear from the public often that they're looking for more accountability and transparency for council. They're looking for more accountability and transparency in several areas of the city. But I think what good place to start would be for a code of conduct for members of council and our local boards. I see from the report from where how our current policies are right now and the enhancements that I see in this report, this gives exactly what members of the public are asking for. As Mr. Maskern has actually pointed out, we have a better protocol. It sets out the investigation procedure and gives like a minimal and probable grounds for a complainant or for a complaint. I do see how it increases on aspects with respect to our social media, with respect to pecuniary interest, whether they are not financially directly connected. This is exactly what people are asking for. This is an enhancement of accountability and transparency for members of council and the boards. And I think we should support this. So I'm going to support this here, and I would support it at SPPC. This report, could, as Councilor Trusso spoke to, could have an iterative nature to it, can be updated, but this is one of those updates. This does bring us, into the times that we are, and it is informed by our past. So I would hope that the members here would vote for it, and I hope it does make it to SPPC and gets approved, especially at this time of year, so we can carry it forward into the new year.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Rahman.
Thank you, and through you. So I appreciate the discussion that we're having. I appreciate Mr. Maskeren being here to provide context and the work that's been done and presented in front of us. So just a few of my comments. I've been on the fence about this because of where the province is with creating a new opportunity for their own oversight or greater oversight and having something more standardized across all municipalities, because I do think that in the end, that is the best approach. I would support seeing that come forward before we continue this discussion, which just to clarify, if that was the case, we would just continue with our current code of conduct as it stands right now, if that was where we were to go to at this point.
Ms. Corman, just get you to respond. If this is referred to a future meeting, the current code stays in place?
That is correct. The current code will stay in place, noting that there is discussion with the provincial standardized code taking place at the beginning of the next council term.
Councillor Rahman.
Thank you. Yes, and I appreciate that distinction, but there's nothing that would, okay, so if let's say at the time that we receive information as to the province enacting or putting into place a new code of conduct that doesn't start until the next term of council, we could at that time, if this was referred, go back, look at what we have and update it accordingly. Because my concern would be taking things like the issue of pecuniary interest, for instance, expanding the definition, broadening the definition, of that term, and then the province doesn't do something similar and now we're out of step and so on and so forth. And I think there's a few examples of that. So I just want to be clear if that isn't still an option for us to refer it, go back to this discussion after such time as we get more clarity from where the province is going. And then we have a chance to make sure that we're compliant in terms of the language and the way that we're envisioning this from the point that we have their new document until such time as it takes effect in November of 2026.
Ms. Corman? Just looking for the confirmation there.
Yeah, through the chair, if this doesn't get passed or gets referred, the current code of conduct will stay in place until a new policy is passed or until such time that a provincial one would supersede.
So I think the more detailed question there, Ms. Corman, was that this wouldn't go away, that we could still refer back to this as an option once the new provincial code is in place and look for alignments or misalignments on this draft version at a future meeting like that. The councillor's question really came down to, if we didn't approve this, if we referred it, it's still going to be with the clerks to for our review at a future date. And the councillor specifically said once the new provincial one's in place, but
correct, we could align it then with the provincial policy, but it would only take place into such time as a provincial policy would take over.
Counselor?
I think that answers the question.
Thank you. That's very helpful. So just to clarify, the schedules that are attached that have the standardized forms, those standardized forms could be used with the current code of conduct, just tailored to the current code that we have.
I see Mr. Mascarin nodding yes, but I see the clerk also flipping through pages to find the right section of the report. So we'll just give her a moment, and then Ms. Corman, if you can speak to that.
Yes, through the chair, that could in fact take place. It'd be our preference to have council direction to put that in place, but definitely we could add that.
Councilor Rahman?
Thank you, and through you, Chair. And can you just remind me of this committee, if I can speak twice and move a referral on the second time I speak?
You absolutely can. We are more flexible with our rules at working group, so you could come back on a second turn, yes.
Thank you. And just so my colleagues are aware of where I'm kind of leaning, but want to hear the discussion move and see where things go and hear from others. I'm comfortable with referring this matter, maintaining the current code, and then using the appendices of the standardized forms in going forward. So I'm not sure if that just helps to clarify my position. I just think that right now I'm not ready to move on all these items, but those are the ones I'm ready to move with.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Rahman. I have Councilor Cuddy next.
Thank you, Chair, and through you. We have a motion on the floor. So can I put a new motion on the floor, or we've got one on the floor that's already been first and seconded?
So with a motion on the floor, you can amend a motion, you can refer a motion, you can't introduce a brand new motion.
Okay, so I can't introduce a motion that we refer this to another session of DWG. We can, well, let's.
Yes,
do the
you can amend or refer.
Okay,
You
so
can't introduce something.
I'm gonna do a
completely new.
referral, Chair, for another session of GWG.
Okay, did you,
And I have a seconder, I suspect, in Councilor Hillier.
okay, let's just, hang on, just give me a minute.
Yep.
So Councilor Cuddy, you want to move a referral of this to a future meeting of governance working group? Did you
Yes.
want a timeline on that? Did you, again, a referral could also be amended once, so we could leave this up to Councilor Rahman, but you heard her comments about the appendices on the standardized forms. So I'm just looking to see if you want any more detail in that.
Yeah.
Or, and I'm going to give you a moment to respond to that. Again, we're a little looser with our rules here. Your seconder was going to make a comment on seconding it. So I'm going to go to Councilor Hillier. Once, if we can do that, and Councilor Cuddy, then I'll come back to confirm what you want to move. Councilor Hillier.
I believe Councillor Cuddy wants to move referring this to a future meeting of the governance working group after the provincial legislation comes down.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Point
Okay.
of order, point of order.
Okay, bear with me for one moment, Councilor Trussow, because I need to ask the clerk a question. Okay, Councilor Trussow, with your point of order, please.
Recognizing that we're looser with our rules at a working group, I feel that our normal requirement and protocol of including within a motion for a referral some additional information for what purpose, what additional information are we getting back? And I don't think that this does that. I also want to point out that the form refer until something happens in the future when we're not sure that that thing is going to happen in the future is sort of uncertain and leaves us in a bad situation. So I would request that before this properly be put on the floor, a little bit more information be given as to what the purpose of the referral is and what the scope of the additional information would be, who's it going to, and what are we looking for here? Thank you.
So Counselor, on your point of order, while those are legitimate procedural questions, my ruling is that they did address the purpose is to wait until the provincial legislation is passed. It is not unprecedented for an item to go on the deferred matters list pending a provincial update. That has certainly happened at planning committee before. So it's not out of order to tie it to, rather than a Q1 of X year, to tie it to after provincial legislation is finalized. Certainly, we're going to go back to them to hear them speak, so they can speak more to their rationale there. But it has met the threshold for their reason, being the provincial legislation and the timeline. So it is in order, but in order to hear their rationale, we do have to go back to them to let them have their turn to speak as to why. So I will go back to Councillor Cuddy as the mover, if you want to speak to it.
Thank you, Chair. No, I have nothing to add to it. Maybe Councillor Hillier does, but I agree with you, Chair. I think that we should wait to see what the province comes down with new legislation. And I think it would be imprudent of us to move forward.
Councillor Hillier?
I completely agree. I just don't want us wasting our time doing things twice.
Thank you. Looking for others on the referral. Councillor Trussell. And then Councillor Ferreira.
Well, first of all, I take a little bit of issue with the wasting our time comment, but I'll let that go. I don't think we're wasting our time. I think we're having a very valuable discussion. And as Councillor Ferreira pointed out, members of the public are looking for us to take some leadership on this. I'm going to oppose the referral because I think that we are the municipality that is the jurisdiction that owns this right now. And I think for us to say, we're just going to defer this, whatever, until something may or may not happen in the future, it's not good policy. And I think it shows that we do not have a handle on what we're trying to do. I also think that there's a lot of tension right now between the municipality and the provincial government in terms of the municipal government coming in and doing things that many of us think are municipal functions. And I'd be very hesitant to sort of encourage that sort of thing by saying, here's something we need to deal with, but we're not going to deal with it because we'll wait to see what the province does. So I feel very uncomfortable doing that. I think so long as we have, so long as we're seized with this point, we need to act responsibly. So I'm very much opposed to this referral. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Trussell. And I take your point, even though you didn't raise it as a point of order. We may have different opinions on what the value of time is. So if we can just, perhaps rather than referring it as a waste of time, perhaps we can just use slightly different language that perhaps we feel resources might be better allocated elsewhere or something to that effect. Because what's a waste of someone's time might be a valuable exercise to someone else. So Councillor Ferreira, and then I have Councillor Stevenson next.
Thanks, Chair. So yeah, I guess coattailing off of your comments, this is a critical time, I think, to bring this through. It's definitely not a waste of time. So I respectfully disagree with the comments. I think just kind of knowing that we did originally see Bill 241 previously proposed and then not get passed. And then we have another one being introduced, as it says in the report with Bill 9. There is a good chance, shouldn't say a good chance, but there is a chance that we might not see any of these bills get passed. So regardless if they are, if one is passed or not, if 9 is passed or not, there is going to be a gap there. And it's just a matter of question of what happens in the meantime. And, from experience, I believe that, this enhancement here that I see in this report is absolutely required. It's like what was said already, the city is looking for leadership on this. The city is also looking for us to not be indecisive. They're looking for us to be decisive, to be bold, to bring these motions, these protection measures in there. And I guess another thing would be, you know, any alignments or misalignments that we may have with the new bill introduced or whatever might be passed at the provincial level, and how it would fit in with what we may or may not pass here. Regardless if we use the current policy or the new policy, nothing changes. If we're tweaking the current policy to align with provincial guidelines, or if we're bringing in this policy and then we end up tweaking this policy to get aligned with provincial guidelines in the future, there's no difference there. So I do believe that this measure and this move to enhance those kind of checks and balances is absolutely required right now. I would not be supporting the referral. I do think that what I have seen in this document is an enhancement. It does bring in that extra accountability and transparency that the city is demanding of us. And I do believe that we should support this right now.
Thank you, Councillor Ferreira. I have Councillor Stevenson next.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that I'm going to support the referral. This motion was brought forward in May of 2024 to address some of the issues that arose in December of 2023. And when I asked for a follow-up late in 2024, November or December, the mayor and the clerk were very clear that they had put this aside because of the province's intention to bring forward a standardized code of conduct that seemed to be acceptable to all almost a year ago. And now we're even closer to having that standardized code of conduct. And like I said, it was very clear last year. No one felt the urgency then. And we're so close that I'm happy to support the referral.
Thank you, Councillor Stevenson. I'll look for any other speakers on the referral. Councillor Rahman, did you want to make an amendment to the referral?
Thank you, and through you, and I appreciate the mind reading. So yes, I would like to make an amendment to the referral as discussed. I do think that having the standardized forms can help us from the perspective of allowing the public to have access to an easier and a clearer process and through those forms. I do also think it will help in the investigative process to be able to have those forms for the Integrity Commissioner, and I appreciate the work to bring those forward. As long as they are aligned, as we've clarified, with the current code of conduct, I do think that there's value in having those in place for now. And then I just want to speak on the referral as well.
So we can, yeah, how do you want that worded? That civic administration be directed to implement the standardized forms, that the referral be amended to provide further direction, just for the clerk to get the language.
Thank you. Yes, and through you. So that the referral include the use of the standardized forms. I don't know if that can be attached to the referral or if it needs to be a separate motion because that will be a directional piece, but I'm happy to hear how that can be worked in.
Okay, the clerk's indicated that's in order, so we can refer the entire report, but include direction to civic administration to implement the standardized forms as attached in Schedule A to Appendix A.
Thank you. Yes, I would be happy to amend it that way. And if I have a seconder, I'll speak to it.
Okay, I recognize Councillor Hillier as your seconder, so if you want to speak to the amendment first, and then once we dispense with the amendment, I can come back to you on the referral.
Thank you, and through you. So I just want to address some of the concerns around taking or showing some leadership. I do think that having some procedural clarity will actually show some leadership and allow for people to have more clarity in how to go about this process. So that's why I'm supportive of including the forms that are here. And I also think it will help make the process cleaner and easier potentially for the integrity commissioner to not have to go back and ask these questions of the public or have to seek further clarification because the information is in front of us. So that's what I wanted to say on the amendment and hoping to come back on the main motion.
Okay, looking for other speakers on the amendment. Councillor Pribble and then Councillor Trussow.
Thank you, through the chair, to the clerk. I'm very much in support of it because I think the standardized forms will be of value to the citizens, to us. But I just want to make sure if we truly know that all of them are in accordance with the current code of conduct, or if we should add into this amendment as long as these forms are in accordance with the current code of conduct. Thank you.
Clerk Corman, can you respond to the councillor's concern that the standardized forms are not in fact in conflict with the existing code? Anything in the existing code? And I see Mr. Mascaren's raised his hand too, so I'll look to him for some comment as well.
I'll defer to Mr. Mascaren.
Okay, Mr. Mascaren.
Thank you, Chair. I was going to answer because I'm not sure that Ms. Corman, I drafted the forms. I don't believe that there's any problem with using those forms today in your code. There's no sort of cross references back. The complaint form for the code of conduct, I think, can just be appended, and the application form, the statutory declaration. What might need to change, though, one small change is you might need to say in your code that in order to file a valid complaint or a valid application, you must use the forms. So I think that's the only cross-reference that you may need.
Thank you for that. Councillor Pribble, I can go back to you. I can also offer that it would be an option for, if GWG passes this, it will still go to SPPC. There would be time between now and SPPC for you to confer with the clerk if in fact you've wanted to make sure that there was anything like that rather than necessarily wordsmithing on the floor. And you could amend it there, or just needed, because I just need to check with the clerk on something procedurally for a moment. Bear with us for just 1 second. Okay, just just so everyone's aware, we just needed to double check to make sure that the referral itself didn't count on that 3 levels of inception on an amendment. So you can amend the amendment. The referral itself is not an amendment. So if you wanted to amend and that civic administration be directed to address any language to bring that in line, you could do that, Counselor. It would be in order, or you could take the time to consult with the clerk and bring it forward at SPPC. So I'll leave that in your hands to which direction you want to go, but I just needed to make sure that you could in fact amend an amendment to a referral.
Okay, Sir the Chair, based on the response I heard from Mr. Mascarenhas, I'm okay to leave as is. I will support, and the only item I'm gonna verify with our clerk is Mr. Mascarenhas' comment that the form must be used. I believe that that's the only comment he made, potentially of the cross-reference, and I'm not gonna make any amendment, any changes to current amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pribble. Sorry, my screen is timed out and I've lost my speakers list. Okay. I've got Councillor Trussow next. Go ahead, Councillor Trussow.
Just to briefly say, so I don't sound like I'm contradictory later, I'm going to support the amendment because I think the amendment makes this package better and I sense it's going to pass. I'm still going to vote against the referral, but thank you for the amendment. At least there's that little piece of it that brings some forward progress. So I'll support the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Trussow. Councillor Rahman.
Thank you, and through you. And just to clarify, I will make sure to bring some language to clean up the connection between the current code and the new schedules that we're including as standardized forms for SPPC if this does pass.
Thank you, Councillor. Looking for any others? Okay, seeing none, we're just voting on the amendment, which is Councillor Rahman's amendment to approve the use of the standardized forms with the current code today. And we'll call the question. All those in favor? And any opposed? Okay, and that carries. Now we're back to the referral as amended. Councillor Cuddy and Hillier, you're still okay being on the referral as the mover and seconder as amended? You are. So Councillor Rahman, you had indicated you still wanted to speak to the referral, so back to you.
Thank you, and through you. So I needed to briefly remind myself of what went to second reading, just to get a better sense of what was in the bill. And the reason and rationale for the referral. So I believe that the bill as it's appeared in second reading is going to be is going to set out more terms and conditions that we will have to then go and change and amend. And so at that time, I think we're going to have to, in order to align, if that's our intention, to align, and which I believe it should be, to align ourselves until such time as that new legislation comes into play. Although I do realize that if there is a breach, you can't actually deal with it for somebody that is seeking a return to office. So, but I do think that's helpful to have that still in place. But the reason I wanted to bring that up is I do think that AMO took a very strong position on ensuring that we supported a new direction with having a standardized code of conduct across the province. So not only are we looking at this from the perspective of our council, but it's also our council's support for AMO's direction. So I think continuing with our current code with the standardized forms is a good step, a good next step. And then as we move forward, returning to this conversation once we have the information from the province to further inform our decision making and make sure that we are compliant in our code of conduct. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Rahman. Any other speakers on the referral? Oh, Mr. Mascarin, you had your hand up. Did you want to offer some comments? Well, we've brought you here to answer and to provide some extra context, so please go ahead.
Thank you. I really do appreciate it, Mr. Chair, and I'm not trying to weigh in on the discussion. I just want to try to help you clarify. I've heard this afternoon that the province may come back and ask us to change something. With all due respect, I don't think that's going to happen. The province is going to come in and say, here's a regulation, here's a code. It's yours now. I don't think they're going to ask you to do anything. It's going to be in place. That's what I think is going to happen. What is going to happen, I don't know. So I think, and again, with all due respect, and I think Councillor Trusso and Councillor Ferreira, I think I agree with what they said, and I'm not weighing into the politics of this. I just want to be clear.
So that's where actually, Mr. Mascarin, I'm going to say you are weighing into the politics of it. So I'm going to stop you there. Once you start saying you're agreeing with one side or the other, if you're commenting on the provincial legislation, that would be in order. But now you are weighing into the debate, so I've got to stop you there.
Point of order.
Councillor Trusso?
I would at least let him finish his sentence before we cut him off, so we can understand where he's going and how it might be qualified. And again, in all due respect, he's here. Let's hear what he has to say. And it's not just because he mentioned my name. It's because I really want to hear what he has to say. So I'd really like you to reconsider that.
So Councillor Trusso, and I'm not suggesting that you're asking for that because he said your name. Although I appreciate your injection of a little levity into the discussion. But I am going to stand by, if Mr. Mascarin wants to comment on the provincial legislation, that's in order. What is out of order is for him to comment on the perspective of councillors either way. That's up for the individual councillors to hold, and it's not in order for our IC to weigh in on one side of the debate or the other. So, Mr. Mascarin, if you want to speak to the provincial legislation piece, but please keep it to that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry, I want to be clear. I'm not trying to take sides. I was just going to say there's an opportunity for council to make its own decision. And I just wanted to be clear that I don't think there's an opportunity to say, oh, the province is going to come in and ask us to change something. I don't think the province will do that. That's all I wanted to say. And I'm sorry, I referenced Councillor Ferreira and Councillor Trusso because I just thought that they were making that point. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Stevenson, you had your hand up again?
No, I had a comment, but I'll leave it. Thank you.
Okay. I have no one else on the speakers list. So on the referral, as amended, going once, going twice, and we will call the vote. Councillor Stevenson? Oh, are you voting? Sorry. You're voting. So all those in favor? And opposed? Okay, so that has carried. So that's referred to a future meeting of GWG with when this comes to SPPC. Councillor Rahman has indicated she'll have touched base with the clerk to make sure that any clarifying language is addressed. So, Mr. Mascarin, that concludes our portion of the meeting that's your business. So, I mean, you're certainly free to listen in on the rest of the meeting, or you're free to take the rest of the time that you had maybe slotted for us and put it to work on something else, as your pleasure is. So, but we do thank you for coming today and for your time.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here this afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of committee. I will leave you now, not because I'm not interested. I do have some other things. So thank you very much and have a good weekend.
Thank you. And I promise you're missing some scintillating debate on our deferred matters list. But you can read the report when it comes to SPPC.
Okay, thank you.
So colleagues, that does bring us to the only other item on our agenda, which is our deferred matters list. We don't have any updated staff reports on any of these items yet. I'm just going to very quickly advise colleagues. we obviously just dealt with the council resourcing task force on November 4th. There were a couple of items referred here, but the clerks have not had an opportunity yet to provide a report that would be complementary to the other. Because as colleagues will recall, there was an outstanding item related to this on the deferred matters list. Those two things have to be brought together. There has not been time to do that in the 10 calendar days and fewer, of course, business days since the council vote. That will come to a future meeting. Likewise, with the item that's outstanding on the lessons learned, London Housing Development Report and Civic Administration Report back on tenant placement policies. I did speak to Mr. Mathers and Mr. Dickens, obviously with the urgent situation with the procurement of the micro shelters and getting that site up and running. That has been an all hands on board situation. And so they do not have an update for us at this time. They will have one for us at our meeting in the new year. So in speaking to them, I did let them know that I would pass along that the micro shelter matter has taken precedence, which I think we would all probably agree is a little bit more pressing. So I just wanted to share those two updates on the deferred matters list. Three of these are really tied into the report of the council resourcing task force with respect to the updated deputy mayor, budget chair policy. So those things are tied together, and we will get an update for those at the next meeting in the new year. So I just wanted to share that with all colleagues. So looking for a mover and seconder for the deferred matters, Councillor Hillier and Councillor Cuddy, and we'll look for any discussion. Seeing none, then all those in favor. And that one carries unanimously. So that dispenses with our agenda. We just need a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Hillier and Councillor McAllister. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you, everyone. Have a good afternoon and a great weekend. And lots of committee work to look forward to next week. So enjoy reading your agendas this weekend.